Ben Weisman, Realtor and Google expert. I have been helping real estate agents for the past 5 years use Google and get leads in. I have been an agent myself for 5 years, and everything I learned about Google I actually brought from being a locksmith in a competitive market where if we didn't get leads from Google, we had no money. And it's been amazing of the impact that we've been able to make on our industry. Today, I want to talk about an extremely important topic that almost every single agent gets wrong. And that is, what do you name yourself on Google Business Profiles? And before I get into what you should actually name yourself as a real estate agent, I want to really shed a light on Google's actual guidelines around this matter. So I'm going to pull up a page that Google has put out there that lays out the guidelines very, very clearly. And I will tell you, these guidelines and what you should name yourself is going to shock you because most people get this wrong. Even broker owners get this completely wrong just because they don't know the actual guidelines. So here I pulled up on my screen is the actual Google guidelines that they give you, and I'll put a link down below to these guidelines, and I'll highlight the name section in that link. So go ahead and find the link down below and click it. But I want to specifically focus on a couple things that Google says about the name guidelines. And if you look up here, it actually says it should reflect your business's real world name and use it consistently across your storefront, website, stationery, and as it's known to customers. So now I find that having an LLC with your real world business name is the best practice, but I know not everyone has that. So what you want to at least do, and to follow this guideline here, and I'll go into more detail in a second, is whatever you name yourself on Instagram, TikTok, your website, that's what your name should be on your Google Business profile. Now, oftentimes, that is simply just your first and last name, Ben Weisman, right? That is your Google Business profile name. If you want to, you can add in dash real estate agent. If you do that, just know if you ever get suspended, Google's going to want to see actual proof that that's your real world business name, which might mean you need an LLC or an S Corp or some sort of license aside from your real estate license to prove that your business name actually has the words real estate agent in it. But as a general rule of thumb, it should just be your first and last name. I want to scroll down here and show you a couple examples that Google gives of what an acceptable business name is on Google. Right, here's an example for TD Bank. Right, so TD's name is TD's Bank, America's most convenient bank. But Google just wants to see TD Bank. No location, no trademarks, nothing else. And there's one example I want to show here that actually shows Remax. It's kind of funny. So right here, it says Remax LLC. And I know there are agents out there who are putting LLC in their business name. You don't want to put the LLC in. Look at the correct way to do it. It just says Remax. Now, you're probably thinking, well, then you can't really use your business name for Google because you won't be called, right? Your whole brokerage is in there. Wrong. It's against Google's guidelines. I want to show you a couple examples of right ways and wrong ways to set up your profile. And then after those examples, I'm going to tell you straight out the best way to name yourself on Google Business Profile. And it is going to surprise you. All right, so this first one I'm pulling up is Amy Friedman. And she has her name as just Amy Friedman dash Realtor. That is totally acceptable. And that's her real world name. Now, oftentimes, like I said, if you get suspended, you better make sure your LLC, you have an official document that has the word realtor in there. Otherwise, Google may not accept it. Also, you want to make sure that on Facebook, Instagram, on your website, it also says Amy Friedman Realtor on there. Otherwise, Google can suspend you for deceptive content. Same thing goes for Dion. This is Dion Gutierrez, real estate agent. That's also acceptable. I find that real estate agent is more compliant because realtor is a trademark name. But I'll tell you, if you go back to the guidelines, there's an example right up here where it said, find it Burger King OR, which is also trademarked, but the actual name you should be using is just Burger King. Same thing goes for using Realtor. And if you're really mistake compliant, ask your broker and make sure it's okay in your state. Here's an example of really what you don't want to be doing. So she put Jackie Turley dash Realtor dash JPAR Real Estate Professionals. JPAR Real Estate Professionals is a completely different business name that she just tacked on to her business name. This is a huge red flag, and if her account gets audited by Google, chances are she will get suspended. But before you go and change your business name, wait to the end of this video because it could get you suspended. So I'll tell you what you should and should not do if you have to make a change to your business profile. Here's one more example of what you should not be doing. So Lynn Walsh put a bunch of these special character lines here, and I wrote your design realtor dash realtor line homes find realty group dash South Carolina dash GA. That is a huge red flag. You do not want to do this. This does not reflect your real world business name. Nobody in the real world is calling her that by that name. She probably has no LLC or documentation backing up that name. Again, if she gets audited, she has a very high chance of getting suspended, and she'd have to change her whole business name to get reinstated. It can take her weeks to do. All right, now I promise to tell you really the proper way and the only way that's probably accurate to what Google's guidelines are, and that is simply by using your first and last name. That's it. So if you're a real estate agent, you just put in Ben Weisman. You don't need anything else, really. Now, people are always afraid of that because, oh, then how is somebody going to know that I'm a real estate agent on Google? Well, guess what? Google already knows that. And when people are searching for a real estate agent in your market, they're going to pull up all the real estate agents based off your category. So while I'm in Lynn's profile, if I click on edit profile over here, under the category section, it says real estate agent. Look at that. Google already knows that this profile is a real estate agent. You don't have to put it in the business name. It's unnecessary. And honestly, the better you follow Google's guidelines, the more they want to rank you and recommend you to people who are looking for real estate agents. So guys, follow these guidelines. And if you need to make a change, remember I said, if you have a long name like Lynn Walsh does, and then all of a sudden you go and you change it down to Lynn Walsh, you can be suspended. So if you need to make a change, make sure you get professional help to make this name change. It's not always so simple, and doing it can get you suspended, and you can lose your Google presence in a click of a button by mistake. If you're going to make this change, I recommend doing it incrementally. So taking off just south the location first, and then saving that and waiting a whole month or at least 2-3 weeks, and then making another change. Otherwise, if you want to make this change and mitigate the risk of a long suspension, go and have an LLC that's just your first and last name. So make the LLC Lynn Walsh, or in my case, it'd be Ben Weisman. Then make the change. That way, if you get suspended, you can use that LLC paperwork to get reinstated. Guys, I hope this is helpful to you, and I really hope that agents start to follow the guidelines better so there are less suspensions, because every single day, with every post I make, somebody's always commenting, oh man, I'm suspended. I'm in Google jail. I can't get out. Google sucks. Google hates me. It's not true. We're just so bad at following their guidelines. So watch these videos, follow me for more information, and get these guidelines down. I promise you, if you nail Google profiles, it will become the best lead source you have ever used in your career.